What do you think is going to happen economically? Will people be forced to use the cloud? Is it going to become too expensive to operate their own data center?
Well, I think importantly for emerging companies and companies that are starting up or are growing rapidly, it probably remains today the best solution for them.
But you can go to Amazon. Yeah.
Exactly. Or, Brad mentioned the fact that you've got folks that have already purchased an infrastructure, right? And they're still watching that depreciation come off the books. It's difficult for them to justify moving into the cloud. So it's going to be special projects, it's going to be new applications, those kinds of things. But for smaller emerging companies where they're really looking for a platform to deploy their business on, I think that's going to go in the cloud pretty much exclusively over the next decade.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of small development organizations are developing on cloud services already. And whether it's Amazon or Terramark or something like that, right? It's already going on. How do you see this? How do you see this industry evolving? How does a customer like that starts there, or at some point Google will have this, right? So we've got different types of services, all kinds of different players, some large, some small, with varying hooks into the internet infrastructure already. How do you see this? How do you see this play evolving over time? You guys are likely going to be competing, with Amazon or Google or anybody else as they grow up, right? What do you see happening?
Well, one of the things that customers are looking for is a little bit of canned application support. They want to be able to sign up for a solution, understand how it works.
A turnkey cloud.
A turnkey cloud. And they're not getting that today with Amazon. Right? They're having to build their own applications. They're having to hire their own developers. And it's not very predictable if you're starting from scratch to understand what your costs are going to be. Storage costs and bandwidth costs and some of those kinds of things. So being able to move into maybe a smaller cloud that you can kind of wrap your arms around who your provider is and understand that you've got a personal relationship with that provider adds some value today. And it will continue to, I think, for a long time. One of the things that the cloud doesn't yet offer is a lot of creativity in the space. There's a few very narrow niches of where cloud has really shown some success, but there's a lot more out there to come.
Yeah, so Brad, how do you see things happening? Your customer base, the technology that you use to provide services to customers, looking ahead, I don't want you to share, private secrets or anything, but what do you see 5 years out?
Well, I certainly see that in regards to the players in the landscape, there'll be a lot more consolidation. In the first couple of years, I can see a lot of the world of co-opetition where there's going to be a lot of partnerships been striked with manufacturers and traditional competitors, perhaps. So I see that there's going to be a lot of convergence going on within the next 36 months in that regard.
So do you think we're all going to be working for Google in 5 years?
No, but I think the smaller players like ourselves will actually certainly find partners to work with, and potential mergers, acquisitions happen along the way. Jump Point's certainly grown as an organization through acquisitions and time to market. So I can see certainly from our perspective that methodology and strategy continuing, and we're always looking for those opportunities. So I think that's only going to benefit the customers themselves as some of the mid-tier players start to get stronger.
That's an interesting thing as a business leader to do, is just figure out, what kind of awareness do I need to have of, possible partners, suitors, acquirers, all that stuff.
And I think that's where a lot of creativity will actually be driven as well, as those two independent autonomous organizations merge or share that type of partnership. Some good things will follow to that.
Aaron, you must have some thoughts on this.
No private secrets, but my thoughts on this.
Come on, just one or two.
Okay, maybe at the end.
Okay.
It all depends if you're.
After the battery wears out, it's going.
Right. That's right. So I think the things that will drive the change is just the user, the adoptions. The admins will change. Right now we have future admins that are sitting in university. They're getting trained up. And in 5 or 6 years they will be the directors of IT. They will be the guys making the decisions. So they're going to be.
I'm going to work for my kids.
Huh? You're going to
probably will. Yeah.
You're going to work for your kid's next door neighbor. So
you already have.
So at the end of the day, that will help drive the change. In the same way, that have you run out of batteries yet? You're okay.
That one just went.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's still going.
Okay. Well, good. So that's what will change. I think the admins, the guys running the shows, as they become more comfortable, all of our kids are a lot more comfortable with technology than we ever were when we were their same age. The same thing will happen. So that will drive more adoption of cloud computing, I think.
Greg?
Yeah. So I guess we see it much like everyone else has mentioned. I mean, this is a long-term thing. It's going to take, like most big adoptions, it's going to take 10, 20 years to happen. In the process of that, there's going to be companies in 20 years that we didn't know about today that are going to emerge as big players. There's going to be companies today that we think are big players that are going to go out of business. And there's going to be lots of stuff in between. So we just, we see it as kind of one of those seismic shifts. Obviously, our goal is to try to become the storage platform for as many of those as possible.
Hey, this was great, guys. Thanks so much for spending the time with us. I think people will get a lot out of this, so thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Hey, Mark, before you wrap up,
Wait,
I
yeah.
got a question for
Okay.
you. You're a guy that still listens to cassette tapes. You're a direct storage kind of a guy. Are you going to adopt to the cloud?
I'm already in the cloud. I use YouTube.
Okay. For what, though?
I post videos for InfoSmack and for my own blog, Storage Wrap, in the cloud, sort of, YouTube cloud.
When are you going to start sharing your private secrets on YouTube? That's what I would do.
Have you seen his steering wheel cams? He does. More than you care to know.
Yeah. Maybe tomorrow. Aaron. I did the gauntlets down there.
I thought that the current YouTube policies prohibit that kind of content.
Well, I don't know what's private to you, but private to me is all kinds of wonderful sweetness and light things.